Scotland, along with Scotland, is the world's premier destination for links golf. Here, it's all about the weather, the scenery, and a unique golfing landscape.
We all know about links golf, or we should if we're watching this program. Links courses are usually situated on ground just back from the beach, which is sandy. This is basically hardened sand dune, a kind of no man's land between the sandy beach and the harder agricultural ground inland.
Links fairways are built into the natural contours of the land and can be tricky to navigate. And that's before you have to contend with the weather, which in these parts can be tricky too. Links is the oldest style of golf course, first developed in Scotland. The word links comes via the Scots language from the English word hlink, meaning rising ground or ridge. Links land readily supports various types of grasses that result in the firm turf associated with links courses. This enables a running game. The hard surface allows balls to run up much farther than on softer turf courses. Often players will land the ball well before the green and allow it to run up. Many of Ireland's picturesque seaside links courses were, like those in Scotland, laid out at the end of the 20th century, mostly by the first generation of golf course designers, Scots like legendary Old Tom Morris, who basically invented the modern golf course. Many of these classic links courses can be found on Ireland's beautiful and windswept western coast, where the climate is similar to Scotland and the fairways are often buffeted by strong winds coming in off the Atlantic Ocean. There's been a Tralee Golf Club for more than 130 years, but this version is quite new, opened in just 1984. The site fronts these beautiful and timeless Atlantic beaches, which have witnessed everything from Spanish Armada shipwrecks to secretive landings of spies during the World Wars. Tralee was designed by legendary golfer Arnold Palmer when he was in his 70s. A statue to the great man stands next to the first tee. Palmer designed only a handful of courses outside the US, and he apparently only played this one once, which makes his creation, carved in classic links style into the landscape here, all the more incredible. This beautiful setting has even inspired poetic verses, subscribed into benches located in some of the most remote parts of the course. It also inspired the great film director David Lean, who set key scenes on the beach here for his Hollywood epic Ryan's Daughter. The beach where the filming took place is now named Ryan's Daughter, and the 17th hole is named after the movie as well. I'm playing another signature hole, the par 3 16th. It's 180 yards long and also overlooks the famous beach. My partner is Jim McGann, director of the Kerry Film Festival, also inspired by the success of the film.
There's trouble down the middle of it, so you want to keep it high. Probably the safest option is go the left-hand side, but even then they have two bunkers to make sure you can't take the easy way out of the hole. So it's a very tough par 3, and on the right-hand side there's an out of bounds, and behind that is the iconic beach from the 1970s, David Lean movie Ryan's Daughter, which won an Oscar for best cinematography. So you want to stay clear of that lovely vast beach on the right-hand side as well.
Oh, nice shot, but
that could be on the beach.
While Jim's tee shot appears to be on the beach, mine is just right of the green.
So do you think you'll find it?
I'd say I'm out of bounds. I'm over onto the beach here, but what an amazing beach it is. Some views. It's not hard to imagine why David Lean chose this for Ryan's Daughter, is it? It's just beautiful.
So you're over the edge and out of bounds?
And out of bounds.
Okay, so you're going to play your second?
Yeah.
Dave's on the green with his second ball. But I'm there with my first. A par for me.
There it is. Or should I say good putt?
Now we're playing the 17th hole, named after the beach it faces. It's an uphill par 4 with rough on both sides and an elevated green protected by bunkers.
So there's trouble at every turn.
Thanks.
Shot.
We're both on the fairway, but with that elevated green, still a fair way into the distance.
Nice shot.
We both reach the green, or thereabouts.
Oh, there I am, just on the corner.
Yeah.
And you,
Oh, I thought I was better than that.
where are you? Oh, there you are, over there.
Oh, yeah, I'm okay.
Here, it's pars for both of us.
Great history lesson.
Thanks.
And enjoy the beautiful scenery.
I will.
The back nine at Tralee is a magnificent sight, but extremely difficult when the wind is up and blowing in off the Atlantic.
It's one of the top 3 courses in Ireland. A tremendous course. People are getting to know it. It's really a beautiful course. The back nine is probably the best back nine of any course in Ireland.
Take the par 4 12th, the hardest hole on the course, which has an extremely narrow, winding approach to the green with steep hazards on both sides. The par 3 13th requires pinpoint accuracy over another deep ravine, while the third is another par 3, regarded as a signature hole which courts the Atlantic on the right. Tralee's seaside holes may be difficult, but that hasn't stopped long-time member Joe McGeary from playing, despite a very obvious handicap.
I met a one-armed golfer accidentally, as one does, and he immediately invited me to get involved. I was born with one arm, yes. It's gone from just below the elbow. But that really, I suppose, people will say that you have great strength in your other hand, and obviously you're using it all the time, so I suppose you do develop it more. As you can see, there are a lot of bunkers on this hole. 13 bunkers in all between you and the flag.
13. Well, let's try and miss them all.
I'm playing the 18th hole with Joe. Another tricky hole. It looks like I might be heading to one of those 13 bunkers.
The issue for a lot of for one-armed golfers, and for people as we grow older in particular, I suppose, is distance. That you don't get the same distance, obviously, as one-arm as two-armed golfers. But sometimes, it can be marginal enough, the difference, if you hit it on the spot, I used to play a lot of squash, and I found that I had far more control over the shots in squash coming across my body like that. So I talked to some one-armed golfers, and a number of them had done the same, found the same. So quite a number play with across their body rather than the open end. But there are some who still play with the open end. I suppose it depends on really on what you get used to. But it was a change. No, it was a massive change. I still put with the forehand.
Oh, a bit of lift in that
Gone
shot.
left there, yes.
Meanwhile, yes, I'm in one of the 13 bunkers.
Oh my God.
Yes, I think this might be a 9-iron, maybe. I think we all have favourite clubs.
Okay, I'm out.
If you play a good shot, you get great credit for it. They don't see all the bad shots, of course, That's just the way it is. A good shot.
Do you ever play with a prosthetic limb, or do one-armed golfers play with those limbs?
I use a prosthetic limb normally during the day, but no, I've never played with a prosthetic limb. And normally it would be an attachment that clasps on to the club. And I've seen some one-armed golfers use that, some very good golfers. But if you want to play in the one-armed championships around Europe, you must play with one hand, no attachment. That's the rule of the competition. That's in the hole.
Ireland's west coast isn't just famous for its picturesque Atlantic coastline and bucolic scenery. Untamed rivers cut through the landscape, carrying wild Atlantic salmon that attract fishermen from throughout the world. You can stay in remote estates here and forage for oysters in nearby seashores. They're another delicacy in these parts, and nearby Galway even has its own oyster festival. Near Tralee is another great golf course, Ballybunion. It's perched on dramatic coastline, which makes for a spectacular setting. The course has been here since 1893, laid out 50 years after the local cemetery, which juts into the fairway on the first hole and remains off limits for those searching for stray balls. The back nine at Ballybunion's old course is particularly challenging. The original coastal landscape has been little altered. The hills and wind can play havoc with even the best game. Ballybunion's glorious second course, the Cashin, designed by Robert Trent Jones, allows buggies unlike the old course. But golfers can spend a lot of time goat herding in the rough if they miss the narrow fairways and tiny greens. 2 hours south, also facing the Atlantic, is the tiny town of Waterville. It's very much a typical Irish town. A memorial to a famous Gaelic footballer, a game unique to Ireland, occupies pride of place in the main street. Our destination is just out of town, where it's golfing heroes that reign at the famous Waterville Links. Here the weather's turned and a mist and light rain common to the west coast descends across this famous course, making for testing conditions. The course today is fully booked, but it's difficult to make out anyone in the mist. Waterville was founded in 1889. Its mascot is the hare, and they can often be seen scurrying across the fairways. The geography here means it's often easier and quicker to travel up parts of the west coast known as the Wild Atlantic Way by boat than road. Crossing bays and inlets by ferry, like this one, that gets me to my next golf course on the west coast, Lahinch. What ho! The sun is out again as my golf tour continues in the small fishing village of Liscannah. Its great claim to fame seems to be that it was the birthplace of Thomas Holland, the man who invented the submarine. There are memorials to him all over town. The Lahinch golf course is located just across the bay from Liscannah. It's regarded as one of the top 50 golf courses in the world. Laid out in 1892 by, yes, old Tom Morris. It's a traditional club, a classic links course where the most picturesque holes are nestled up against the bay. Its signature hole is the par 3 fifth, known as the Dell, partially hidden behind a small hill, unchanged since Morris designed it. From Lahinch, it's just a few miles north to the cliffs of Moher. One of the highlights of this coastline, these black slate and sandstone cliffs rise up to 700 feet out of the pounding Atlantic Ocean and are 5 miles long. A well-worn path can take you round the spectacular cliff face. Inland from here, it's a rarely travelled part of the country, noted for its ruins, ancient settlements and abbeys such as this monastery at Kilmuckdow. Dating from the 7th century, its centrepiece is a pre-Norman 11th century leaning stone church tower. But my next golfing destination is several hours' drive north. It's the Ballyliffin Golf Club, one of the top courses in the country.
So here we are at Ballyliffin, the northernmost golf course in Ireland, and it's cool, cool, cool.
Ballyliffin has most recently hosted the Irish Open, and like a lot of Ireland's top courses, has many overseas members who visit regularly. It has 36 holes spread over 2 courses, the Old Links and the Kelshidi. The old course plays easier, but was rebunkered by Nick Faldo a few years back. He added nearly 100 bunkers, but it's still a classic links with one of the most undulating fairways I've ever encountered.
These fairways are extreme links. Up and down and up and down and up and down we go.
It's one of the most difficult links golf courses in Ireland, if not the world. You have to hit fairways off the tee. If you're in the rough, it's pitch out. You're not going to reach the greens. Once you go into the fairway bunkers as well, they're pot bunkers, so it's normally a sandwich out, and it's taken away getting to the green in 2 shots again. The golf course is very fair, and a lot of the European Tour players would have said that when they were here, that it's an enjoyable golf course, and if you're hitting the ball well, you will score well. But when your game's just not on, this course will punish you.
We're playing the par 3 fifth on the old course.
It's an uphill par 3, playing 180 yards uphill from the back tee. So it's a tough hole if you're short. It's a very difficult up and down. It's so important to take enough club to reach the green.
Gareth does just that and is on the green with his tee shot. I'm short and left with mine. And then long with my pitch onto the green. Almost a birdie for Gareth.
This is number 7 on the Glashidi course. It's par 3, downhill. It's one of the most spectacular par 3s in the golf course. You know, you get a great view up here of the whole complex. You get a view of the ocean. It's one of the most gorgeous par 3s we have. There's 4 bunkers protecting the green. We also have water to the right-hand side. So it looks like an easy 3 from standing in the tee box, but it can run up big numbers as well. Club selection from up here is crucial. It can play anything from a pitching wedge to a 5-iron, depending on how much the wind blows.
Our next hole is the 2nd on Glashidi. It's a very long par 4.
It's one of the most difficult holes in the course. It played the hardest during when we hosted the Irish Open. This was the stroke index 1. This played the hardest hole in the golf course.
Gareth's tee shot is on the fairway. But I'm in the rough.
Right. I'm in the rough and it's about 250 to the pin, par 4. Not a bad shot,
Great shot.
but I'm still short.
Gareth's on the green with his 2nd, and I'm there with my 3rd. A birdie for Gareth, a par for me.
Good putt.
Thanks. Thanks, Gareth. As you say, a very tough course.
Just an hour's drive away, and I'm crossing into Northern Ireland. Londonderry, just over the border, used to be at the front line of political strife here. The Troubles, as they're known here, have stretched back centuries. Londonderry is the oldest walled city in the United Kingdom, and in the late 17th century, Catholic forces under the deposed Catholic king, James II, tried to retake the city from the new English Protestant king, who was in fact a Dutchman, William of Orange. The cannons used by the Protestants to defend the city walls in 1689 are still displayed on the walls today. But divisions remain for centuries, and although peace has been restored, there are still signs of the recent troubles. The murals in the Catholic Bogside district down the hill from the still standing walls are testament to a violent past. From Londonderry, I'm travelling the picturesque Antrim Coast Road. one of the most scenic drives in the province. Here you can find the medieval ruins of Dunluce Castle, perched precipitously on a cliff top. And nearby, the Giant's Causeway, a World Heritage Site which shows off its spectacular volcanic rock formations. The golf attraction here is the Royal Portrush Club, site of the 148th British Open, which it last hosted in 1951. A past patron was English King Edward VIII, here on the right, who abdicated in favour of his brother George V, father of Elizabeth II, on the left.
You only have to look at the exploits of the likes of Rory McIlroy, Darren Clarke, Graham McDowell. You know, they've really put the spotlight on Northern Ireland, and the fact that we've had lasting peace here for a long number of years, and you know, people are rediscovering Northern Ireland. They're discovering it for the first time. I think the setting's a huge thing here. We have such a wonderful golf course in a beautiful location. It's a beautiful coastline. It's a very, very strong golf course. It's a Harry Colt masterpiece, essentially.
In the years following World War I, Harry Colt was one of the world's greatest golf course designers. The sixth hole is named after him.
When he completed his work here at Royal Portrush, he was invited to put his name to one of the holes, and that's the hole he chose.
I played most of the open courses in Scotland and England, but Ireland, I've been coming here since 1987. This is one of the best golf courses in the world. It changes every time you play. The wind, the rain, everything. It is totally different than playing in America. And people say, well, what's the weather in Ireland? I say it's 45 to 65. It's going to rain sometime today. So that's the way you do it.
Ballyliffin was cool, 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 but Royal Portrush is cold, cold, cold. They have these for a reason, to get out of the cold.
Time to take on Calamity Corner.
Calamity Corner, 236 yards into the wind over that huge gully in front. Yes, it's a calamity.
It's played over a very deep chasm, which runs from the very front of the tee all the way to the front of the green. So it requires a lot of the time, you know, a fairway wood or a driver even to reach that green. It's just it's a hole that strikes fear into the hearts of many golfers.
If that's not enough, try hole 17. It's called Purgatory. Maybe I'll take a break. A signature hole here is the fifth.
Well, the fifth hole is it's a downhill par 4. In certain conditions, that hole can be you can drive the ball onto the green, but it has a very tricky, difficult second shot. The green is perched right on top of the beachhead there, and it offers beautiful views out over the coastline here. It's a very scenic hole, but it's a very strategic hole as well.
Royal Portrush has a strong tradition of ladies' golf. As the weather calms, I'm playing the fifth with Liz McCartney, the women's captain, who fills me in. The most famous women's golfer here was Rona Adair, who at the turn of the century won the British Open, the Irish Open, and lots of other competitions as well. And then she went to America and took it by storm.
She came here on holiday as a 6 or 7 year old, took up a golf club and enjoyed the game from then on. As a young 16-year-old, she played Old Tom Morris, and he was 77, and I think she took him to the last hole where he won one up.
Liz does a Rona with a second shot that reaches the green. I'm on the green too, but Liz is obviously inspired by the spirit of Rona.
Well done.
Right,
Thanks very much indeed, Ian.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Go Rona.
Indeed, go Rona. Thank you.
I'm heading south again now on the final leg of my journey. Crossing back into the Republic of Ireland, I'm heading to the historic city of Drogheda.
A lot of the political problems that affect the island of Ireland can be traced back to here. In the 17th century, this was the site of a bitter and bloody siege between Oliver Cromwell's Protestant New Model Army and the Catholic inhabitants of Drogheda. Thousands were massacred.
The giant St Lawrence Gate and the 13th century Marbello Tower are the only structures of the original walled city that survive. The River Boyne cuts through the city of Drogheda today as it did then. Cromwell's army drove the Royalists and Catholics of Drogheda westward, where 40 years later, on the banks of the same river, in the Battle of the Boyne, they failed to drive the Protestant English out of Ireland. The victorious English king, William of Orange, who defeated the Catholics at Londonderry, headquartered in this battle here at the ruined medieval Milifant Abbey. Persecution of Catholics continued. St Peter's Catholic Church here in Drogheda contains the mummified head of the martyr Sir Oliver Plunkett, who was hung, drawn and quartered at Tyburn in London, also in 1689, before still faithful followers had his body parts returned here. Just 45 minutes from Drogheda is the Portmarnock Links Golf Course, now part of the Portmarnock Golf Resort, just outside Dublin. This offers surely one of the most unique stories in Irish golf. The hotel was once home to the Jameson family, who founded the famous whisky distillery. They also built a private 12-hole golf course here around 1870, making it one of the first golf courses in Ireland. Members of the family now lie buried in an old churchyard right next to the course and in front of their old home. The course has been redesigned by Bernard Langer, and 3 of the original holes, the 8th, 9th and 15th, which were abandoned for more than a century, have been brought back to their original form.
How long were they disused for?
Would have really been from the 1890s, after 1894, up until IMG developed the course in 1995.
For nearly 100 years?
Yes.
At the turn of the 20th century, the Jameson family were close to the future English king, Edward VII, who was a keen golfer, and as the Prince of Wales, would visit here and play the course. After William Jameson married Mary Haig of the Scottish whisky dynasty, the Prince unveiled this plaque in the garden in 1907, which combined the thistle of Scotland and the shamrock of Ireland. It was adopted as a logo for the golf course, and it remains so to this day. The whisky bar at the hotel exhibits memorabilia from this golden age. Included are photos from the beach in front, where pioneering aviator Charles Kingsford Smith, in his plane the Southern Cross, left on the first transatlantic flight in 1930. The Jamesons may now be gone, but their home has been transformed into a magnificent resort. Here, in the numerous whisky bars, you can partake in a wee dram or 2 or 3 after your round of golf. My final golf course in Ireland is called appropriately the Island. Situated on a promontory next to Portmarnock, it's called the Island because for most of its history, golfers needed to travel by boat to get here. On the 14th tee, known as the Old Clubhouse, you can still see the moorings where the boats carrying golfers landed right up to 1973. A nearby plaque commemorates the practice.
The story goes 1887, 4 men rowed across from Malahide. This piece of land was sitting here looking magnificent, and 4 men rowed across from Malahide to explore it and see whether it would be suitable for a golf course. And they landed, and obviously the natural topography and the shapes impressed them straight away, and they decided, yes, we have to have a golf course here. So the easiest way, obviously proximity to Malahide village, the easiest way to get over and back was the boat.
The 14th tee was where the old clubhouse was situated.
This is where golf would have started back in the old days. Malahide village just across the water from us here. The boat used to come across from Malahide. You can see the remnants of the jetty just here. Boat lands, golfers walk up, steps of the old clubhouse are here, and then away they teed off down as what is now our 14th hole.
The 14th also claims to be the narrowest fairway in Europe.
There's one side, and there's the other.
This is another classic links course. More than 100 pot bunkers, blind holes, and of course the wind characterised the course. It's on the bucket list of travelling American golfers.
I drove west 3 hours to Enniscrone, teed it up there. Donegal, Nairn and Portneuf, both courses at Rosapenna. Salin, both courses at Ballyliffin. Castle Rock, Royal Portrush, and here, my favourite, the Island Club.
So how many courses was that and how long?
13 in 10 days.
John and I are playing the par 5, 560-yard 15th. From the back tees, it's 200 yards to clear the rough. And way down, the green is hidden in an amphitheatre behind a raised dune. Thankfully, the wind is usually behind you.
Traditionally, links golf was all about playing the shape of the land. Traditional parkland golf will see somebody try and hit the ball high and land it on the green. The greens are often softer. But we're talking about very firm surfaces. We're talking about the wind behind us. So traditionally, the shot here would be to try and land it 30, 40 yards short and let the ball run on, follow the shape of the land and end up on the green. I'll try that and see how we get on. That's the one, I think. Come on. Yeah, go.
John's drive has tempted him to go for the green, setting up an eagle chance. Meanwhile, my second shot gets me to the top of a small hill from where I can pitch on, giving a chance for par. John taps in for a birdie, and I have to be content with a bogey. Finally, to the 18th, the final hole on my golfing adventure in Ireland.
So this is the 18th hole, stroke index 1, 421 yards, 220 yards just to the fairway, and the wind's coming towards us. I didn't get there. Welcome to Links Golf.
But anyone who's played here will tell you the courses are fair. And golf is only part of the attraction. And after all, this is adventure golf.